Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Toastmaster Madhavi. With a Toastmasters journey spanning since 1997, Madhavi brings extensive experience and expertise. She is a dedicated educator, having conducted workshops on topics such as chief judging, creative writing, and English language skills at various Toastmasters level. Her remarkable commitment is evident in her role as chief judge, having served approximately 75 times in speech contests. Yes, you heard that right, 75. Her impact extends to leadership roles, where she has chaired educational committees for district annual conferences and led the District 79 Education Committee. She is known for her mentorship, teamwork, and contribution to British publications, newspaper editorials, and poetry. Madhavi's training experience has benefited professionals in leadership and management for many years. Today, we have the privilege of learning from Madhavi's wealth of knowledge. Please join me in welcoming her. Pleasure to have you here, Toastmaster Madhavi. How are you doing?
Thank you, Alan. Well, you wouldn't mind me calling you Alan, is
Yes,
it?
please. Please call me Alan.
So much. It's so nice to be chatting with you.
Hmm. Pleasure is all ours. I am sure our viewers are quite excited about this interview. Now, here's my first question, Malvi. Can you recall a particularly challenging speech or leadership role you undertook in Toastmasters and how you overcame that?
Well, would you mind if I talk about both a speech and a role?
Oh, yes, of course, sure.
Yeah, in fact, the most challenging part here is that you have asked just for one. But I'll stick. Okay, let me start with a challenging leadership role, which was during my chairpersonship of the Education Committee DTAC 2017.
Mm,
Now, just to give you a brief background, that was a very unique district conference in the sense that was the only conference in the region ever
mm,
where 7 countries participated and 17 divisions were represented.
mm,
So we had this gigantic challenge of organizing 2 semifinals in English and Arabic each, and the
mm,
finals, and the number of educational assignees touched 500.
mm,
So we had to kind of train and guide all of them and look after all of them. So this was a huge task. But the most challenging part was that we had almost no funds.
Oh, that's yeah, that's a problem.
So,
Mm,
but I was really fortunate to have a fantastic core team. And just to give you an example of shortage of funds see, my team and I were not ready to lower our standards. I had done a few DTACs earlier as Education Committee Chair, and we were not really ready to lower our standards for any
mm,
reason. And we almost settled a very well-known motivational speaker as part of one of our speakers, etc. But at the last minute, we just couldn't because of our empty pockets.
mm,
We still met the challenge. Um, we had 2 days to go, and I still caught one great speaker, um, um, and he was doing something in Singapore, and he was kind enough to cut short his Singapore visit, come to
mm.
Bahrain,
No,
and
okay.
uh, a motivational speech for us. Now, in short, what I'm trying to say is that the challenge was huge, but your next part of the question is how we overcame it.
Mm,
That was just the spirit of the team, the core team, I would say, especially.
mm,
We we actually faced a lot of hassles, including terrible health problems. But the team just didn't mind; they just didn't back out.
Hmm.
And and the contacts and goodwill in the Toastmasters could help us organize that motivational speaker, pull him from Singapore, bring him here on time, and it's a fantastic job.
Hmm.
Uh, so, what I'm trying to say is, the fraternity in Toastmasters, and if you're determined, and if you probably a little later, I would tell you what was the result of this for me personally. Uh, Now I would like to shift to a most
Hmm.
challenging speech that I ever delivered. So I'm
Okay.
talking my first few years as a Toastmaster, and I had delivered all my 10 speeches, getting the best speaker prize for all of them. And then suddenly
Hmm.
I was kind of getting known as a very serious speaker. And then I took up this challenge of delivering a humorous speech. Now, that was something extremely new for me. And I did. And what added to the challenge was my evaluator was a very old and very, very staunch and conventional gentleman.
Hmm.
And why he came as a challenge to me was because of the topic of my speech. Going to deliver a speech on the advantages of having two husbands.
Wow.
Now you understand, but it so happened that I was successful. The
Hmm.
evaluator was very happy. The audience was happy. They laughed. So I think I met the challenge. But the moral of the story of this story, I would say, is this is how Toastmasters stretch themselves.
Hmm.
Right? I think each of us does that at some point or the other, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
I hope
It's
I kind of answered your question.
yeah, exactly. Like for me, you took me back to that time. I mean, for I never had the opportunity to see you speak, uh, especially for a humorous speech. So I was like thinking, if there was a recording, it would have been nice to see that for our viewers also. They would have been quite interested because the title itself, you got us hooked to that.
Was two birds with one arrow or something. I don't know the exact title, but it was something like that. And
Mm,
later it was also published in the newspaper.
mm,
And I, I, I was told people enjoyed it. And
mm. Yeah.
that, so that gave me the courage to kind of try new things.
Mm,
And that's what Toastmasters is, just
exactly.
jerk out your comfort zone.
Yeah, I know so many people who never try humorous speeches. They just say that it's not their thing. But just give it a shot. You never know, right? So thank you for that story. This would be a motivation for our viewers who are hesitant to try and explore new opportunities. Yes. And speaking about this now, throughout your time with Toastmasters, you must have had many opportunities to mentor or inspire other members. Um, if so, could you share one of your most memorable experience?
Um, Although I perceive myself as a learner more, but yes, I had the good fortune of mentoring a few clubs, etc. But one particular um, experience I would like to really mention with a really, really joyful heart is after one of the DTAGs and one another very, very challenging DTAG that I had done as the education committee chair again.
Mm,
Um, After that, I received a very, very unexpected, unique kind of invitation. And that was from Oman Toastmasters.
Mm.
because they were going to have their DTAC the year after,
Mhm.
and they just saw, and they were just completely happy with the way our DTAC was organized.
Mm.
So you know what they did? They asked me um, to visit Oman
Mm.
prior to that, like about 4 or 5 months prior to their DTAC, and train their education committee, which
Wow.
was something unheard of, and all the cost. And I thought that opportunity of that kind of mentoring, I never experienced either before or after that. So I was very happy to go there and share all my experiences, good ones, not such good ones, with
Mhm.
them, and so that their DTAC could be, you know, better than probably they were imagining, and
Mm.
it did. So while I appreciated their hunger for learning, I still did. I can't get over the fact that, some Toastmasters who are hosting a DTAC would like to call the chairperson of the previous DTAC education committee to mentor their committee. So
Mm.
that I thought was one of the biggest compliments as well as mentorship opportunities that I had.
Mm. That's that's incredible. I mean, it's obviously they must have seen your work and they must have been so inspired that I believe they must still be continuing to use whatever you taught them even now, right?
I hope they're not just using. I'm sure
Mm.
they must have spread it to other people, whatever little things. Then
Mm.
other people can just go on adding to it, and
Yeah.
that's how we work, right?
Yeah, exactly. At what, any idea what year this was?
Uh, 6 7 years back, not too
Ah,
long.
okay. It's not too long. Okay.
It was pre-COVID days, and
Hmm.
it was face to face. We didn't have any conception of this online
Hmm.
um, scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how about now, like for people post-COVID, or what advice do you have for the new Toastmaster members who are just starting their journey?
Um, at any point in time, I feel every Toastmaster or every individual who joins the Toastmasters should just keep uh, learning as the prime objective,
Hmm.
which I sadly feel is kind of dwindling a bit these days. What happens is, Toastmasters has its own glamour.
Hmm.
So lots of people are swayed away by glamour of Toastmasters. Uh, Somewhere along the way, their focus shifts to fame and name and, such things, positions. Um, but I still believe that if you join uh, just as a learner, then an auto byproduct would be fame and name and achievement and everything else. Um, uh, if I may, it sounds very cliched, but um, in our times when and all other Toastmasters of my time, we joined, we were so hungry to know everything. So you wouldn't believe, even if we were attending a Toastmasters meeting, just as a member without any role, we would still ask our mentor, how are we supposed to behave? Where are we supposed to, speak, and when and how? And then you can imagine, even if we have a small role like the grammarian or the timer, how much we would prepare for it. Uh, so our foundations were good. And that's my suggestion to all Toastmasters.
Hmm.
Um, Join with a view to learn. Choose your mentors very carefully,
Hmm.
and get the best out of your mentors.
Hmm.
Then everything else will follow.
Yes, that's true. I mean, you have been here for more than 25 years, and that's a testament to this. And that brings me to my last and final question. Like, what would you say is the essence of Toastmasters and why it's worth renewing and staying engaged with the organization for such a long time?
First of all, I would say to me, it doesn't feel like a very long time. Uh, I have been with Toastmasters for over 25 years. I'm supposed to feel like old,
Mm.
uh, but tell you honestly, I feel like a very young Toastmaster. That's how Toastmaster energizes us. Uh, but coming to the essence of Toastmasters, I remember one of my messages for one of the DTAG souvenirs.
Mm.
I had titled it, that was quite a long time back. I had titled it Mass Construction.
Mm.
And when you asked me this question, this title flashed in my mind. So I can say that Toastmasters is a way of mass construction. Now let me elaborate a little bit. You see, our lives have become like racetracks in so many ways.
Mm.
You know, race for power and fame and technology and this and that.
Mm.
But Toastmasters has its own unique track. You would agree with me, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
Here, people are actually making new selves
Mm.
and new others. So communicators are making new communicators, leaders are making new leaders, servants are making new servants. So this like ongoing process of uh, making new people, you know,
Mm.
better people with so much of camaraderie.
Mm.
I I feel this is Toastmasters, and this is exactly what um, keeps you alive in Toastmasters. Because if you're just working on yourself,
Mm.
I would find it very boring at some point of time.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Our
Yeah,
community keeps us going, right? This.
absolutely. But if you're working on others as well, if you're sharing your knowledge, you're learning from
Mm.
them, and you're making them learn, you're helping them learn, and together you are going in the right direction. And continuity of learning and giving learning, I think that keeps Toastmasters and your stay in Toastmasters sticking. Do
Mm.
you?
I agree. I completely agree with that because for me personally, even despite leaving District 20 a few years back, I'm still connected and it's only because of the community.
Isn't it?
Yes, correct. It's a pleasure to be a part of District 20. It's hard to move out and stay away from the friends that we made in this beautiful place. So, definitely. So, yes, thank you, Toastmaster Madhavi, for your time. I had told you 15 minutes, but I obviously took much longer than that. I'm sorry about that. Hope you don't mind. And thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts, your wisdom. It has been a pleasure to interview you, and I'm sure our viewers loved hearing from you. So thanks a lot for that, Toastmaster Madhavi.
You're most welcome, Alan, and thank you. And I must share your guilt of making it longer than 15 minutes because your questions were crisp. I think my responses, which were kind of, um,
Oh
uh,
no, I would actually, for me, I would have asked you even more, but I knew that we have less time. I think if we were talking casually, we would have even preached more than 1 hour. So it was a pleasure to speak with you. I had so many things to ask you, but this small session, like whatever you said, it was amazing. So I really loved it.
I loved it too. And good luck.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madhavi.